Hey everybody, happy Saturday night. Today is September 14th. We are doing an impromptu last minute pregame show for the Union Inter Miami match. I am joined by some friends of the show, Todd Lewis from the Free Kick, and then Kyle and Jillian Almany of the One Team We Agree On. Todd, I'll go to you first. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. It's like we just saw each other a couple of days ago, so it's nice to get the gang back together and this time be on AAT Sports. So I'm doing great, and thank you so much, Mike, for inviting me on. And I'm glad we were able to get this going before the match tonight.
Absolutely. And Kyle and Jillian, again, congrats on the 100th episode. I know that episode was released earlier this week. I appreciate you having both of us on, Todd and I. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good, and thank you, and appreciate you guys being on it for our 100th episode. That was great, but a little tired from being at the Weezer concert last night, but it was awesome and feeling good after a Phillies win. So we got that.
I have to.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kyle.
Go ahead. No, thanks for having us on. Again, we appreciate it.
I was gonna say before we get to the soccer stuff, what is the best part of the Weezer concert? Because I just have to know, be real quick.
The Blue album.
Well, I mean, obviously, hearing the Blue album from start to finish, from My Name Is Jonas to Only in Dreams, was epic, and hearing some songs I'd never heard live before, like The World Has Turned and Left Me Here and Only in Dreams. Hearing those live was just amazing.
The World Has Turned and Left Me Here is my favorite song off that album for sure. Kyle, how about you?
Probably.
You love that song too, Kyle.
That My Name Is Jonas, only because that was like when we were dating, like we would play this on Guitar Hero all the time, and it's just a memory, and like that really brought back a lot of memories. It's very emotional for me.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that one live before, but like just I don't know, it was just felt next level last night.
And shout out to Ed. Ed was there, and he's the GOAT, and it was always good to see Ed there and hanging out with him.
Yes.
Absolutely. But listen, tonight we have a pretty big match ahead of us. The Union are taking on Miami, like we mentioned. The lineups have just come out. We see Andrew Rick is in that. We see Lionel Messi starting. So we talked about this briefly on your show this past week. I know, Todd, you and I were talking about the goalkeepers, especially. What are your thoughts on Rick in that?
Yeah, I mean, this was the right choice by Jim Curtin, because I think when we were talking, we weren't sure if Andre Blake was 100% out yet when we won Kyle and Jillian show, the One Team We Agree On. Then Jim Curtin came out and talked to a reporter and said that Andre Blake was officially going to be out, and then the match day availability report officially listed Andre Blake as out. And so I know I said on Kyle and Jillian show that I was going to do some data, and there's still time to do that, because Andre Blake's not in here, and I'm expecting this game not to be kind to the Union. But you look at Oliver Zemla, 29 goals conceded in MLS. He conceded 3 goals in CONCACAF Champions League, and so that's 32 goals conceded on the season for Oliver Zemla. It's not good enough at all. He's a 65.4 save percentage in MLS, 62.5 save percentage in CCC. But yeah, I mean, Oliver Zemla has not been great this season. Again, for me, the game where I said I don't want to see this guy in net anymore was the Chicago Fire game. There's no reason why the Union should have blew a 3-1 lead. The Union go down in that game. They crawl their way back. Then they score 2 more goals to go up 3-1. And then Oliver Zemla in the second half just was not confident in commanding his box. And it was really, really disappointing watching, Oliver Zemla just blow that game away for the Union. So yeah, Andrew Rick gets to start tonight, his fifth start of the season for the Union, first one since the Toronto start. I know I tweeted about it in July. I forget the date, but the Union lost that game 2-1. Yes, Andrew Ricks conceded 8 goals in his MLS career with the Union, but I feel more confident with Andrew Rick in net than I do Oliver Zemla.
Listen, I don't disagree with all those numbers and the logic there. Kyle and Jillian, do you have the same confidence in Rick that Todd has?
I mean, we saw him in Montreal. We were talking about that. Now, that's one of Rick's...
He got cooked in Montreal.
He did. And you can give it up to youth. And that's fine. Look, Oliver, we saw him against North Carolina on Wednesday. And he still was making the same mistakes.
Yeah, he had
to
get
at the end of the day,
times,
you got to do this. I mean... it's the old Ric Flair edge. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Now, do I think Andrew Rick's going to beat Messi? No. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's a tall task. I mean, Jim's in a tough situation. I mean, you don't trust Holden Trent. You see Oliver, what he's done this year, like Todd said. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think going with Rick was the right move here. I mean, it's kind of like, it's going to suck either way having to have your backup in here. But yeah, I think Rick would be the best bet here.
So you guys are talking about the confidence, the predictability of who's going to win this game. Kyle, I know you're a big gambler like myself. So the money line for the Union opened up around plus 300. On FanDuel right now, it's at plus 600. So that's that's for three reasons. One, Andre Blake's out. You have a teenager in net, and Lionel Messi starting tonight, which actually, I know we talked to Alex Windley on my show this past Tuesday. She didn't think he was going to start. She thought maybe some time off the bench. It's his first game back, all that kind of stuff. I'm assuming he's going to get around maybe a half, maybe 60 minutes. I guess it depends on how he's feeling out there. I was kind of surprised to see Messi starting. How about you, Todd? Did you think that he was going to come off the bench or start?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Messi's starting. I mean, so I was on Better Heron's podcast during the midweek to preview this game, and I had jokingly said that, look, MLS isn't sending down their A1, A2 commentary team, and nor were they sending down the A1 Spanish team. And some people in the comment sections were cooking me saying, yeah, I'm delusional, blah, 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 blah. But, I was, partially being serious, but partially, joking and everything, because as everybody knows, anytime that Lionel Messi plays for Inter Miami, they're always sending down Jake Zivin and Taylor Twellman. So I was like, okay, maybe they do know something we don't know. But you look at the Hell is Real derby out in Ohio between Columbus and Cincinnati. So, yeah, it made sense that those guys wanted that game as opposed to this Miami game where they weren't going to 100% know if Messi was going to be available for this game. But, yeah, I mean, Messi's been gone for so long, and I am shocked. I really am shocked that Messi is starting in this game. He's obviously healthy enough. But the one thing that I think Miami doesn't get enough credit for is in the last 13 games, they're 10-3-0 without Messi. And so this team's figured out how to play without Messi. And now you add the greatest player to ever play. What's that going to do for this team? It's a scary thought when you don't have Andre Blake in net. And people are already texting me like, oh, this game's going to be 3-0, 5-0 before the half. And I mean, there is a world where you can potentially see that.
And again, go ahead, Jillian. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, well, exactly what you were saying, Todd, with the whole broadcast thing. I agree with that. I was like, oh, well, the chance of Messi, playing must not be as good if they're not sending down their A squad there. But like, I was surprised to see him starting. I thought maybe he'd come off the bench, but yeah, Miami is very good even without Messi. So thing is, though, they also allow a lot of goals. They concede a lot of goals. So both teams could have a bunch of goals, to be honest.
Again, you get an early goal and then you buckle down and you try to play the best you can. Be brave. I mean, Jim said that a million times. I know we're tired of that. Be
brave because the margins are razor thin.
I know. But having said that, like, Mike, to your point, I mean, I just checked BetMGM and Caesar. They're both at 500. So, yeah. This game, if you're picking the Union right now, you might be a rich man tonight if they pull this off.
Exactly. So again, I'll look at some lines real quick. As you mentioned, some books still have it at 500. FanDuel has it at plus 600 already. Since you guys are talking about a lot of goals going in tonight, the over 2.5 is at minus 320. So across the board, everybody thinks this is going to be some sort of like either a blowout or a shootout. And again, I think Jillian mentioned how they allow a lot of goals. Miami allows 40 goals on the season. Philadelphia has allowed 43. The big difference, though, is the Union have only scored 47 goals, and Miami has a 22 goal differential at 62. So that is where the firepower and Todd. I mean, adding Messi helps a little bit. Just maybe I don't know. I don't know. Is he any good? I'm not sure, but it looks like it could be a very hard night for the Union. But in terms of if they can compete, Kyle and Jillian, I'll shoot it to you first. How do they beat or even tie Miami tonight?
Good. You good?
I mean, you gotta get Ty Baribo and Mikel Ua and Daniel Gazda going, and you gotta get those balls. You gotta feed the balls to Ua early. I expect Tata to have a plan for that. I mean, he's one of the better coaches in MLS. I've always had nothing but respect for Tata, but also, you gotta see Quinn and Jax. I mean, those guys, and then you gotta hope to get to half, and maybe Danley's good enough to play that last 45. And he can create a late chance. And then you got to look at Jack. You got to look at Jacob. You got to look at Kai. And you got to look at Nate. They got to do their job tonight and help Rick. I mean, I'm not saying anything anybody else in listening is not knowing, but they haven't been good with Oliver and Andrew and Net. And so they got to step up. They got to step up. If they want to make the playoffs, they got to step up. As simple as that.
Yeah, they need to start the game like they did against Red Bull. Just come out and make a statement. Fear. Like, that was some of the best I've seen from them this season, I think. And they came out, they made a statement, and getting that early goal was huge. And they kept that momentum going. So I think that's really important. And the defense needs to just not be crap tonight.
We do not need to see Montreal 2.0.
Oh God, we were there in person to see that. We don't need to see that again. No.
Absolutely. Todd, my question for you is, Leon Flock playing the 6, Bueno's on the bench, Danley, I guess, is good enough to be on the bench as well. Do you agree with Leon Flock in front of that back line?
Yeah, I do actually, and I want to piggyback off of some of the players that Kyle and Jillian were naming, and felt like they named the whole squad there, but what they did say was Jack McGlynn. And I actually think that this is a good game for Jack McGlynn. You look at the midfield three of Inter Miami, of Redondo, Busquets, and Gressel. None of those guys are speedsters. And so this game's really going to be slowed down in the midfield. And especially with Gressel, who has played in midfield for Inter Miami this season multiple times. It's not his best position. When he's been at his best, it's been playing as that right winger. Well, Lionel Messi comes back into the lineup. You put Messi back in his comfortable position. But I really want to see Jack McGlynn have a huge game here for the Union, because Quinn Sullivan, Jack McGlynn, they've got to get back. They've got to help Leon Flock out defensively, because what I said on my show with Chris Duran for the match preview, I said one of my 3 keys were you got to stay compact. And that is so true for this game. You've got to stay compact in the middle of the field. You know Messi's going to be on the ball. Inter Miami is going to want to be in possession of the ball. But you cannot force things. You got to get players to track back. And so I look at a player for Jack McGlynn. He has to have a big game tonight, because the Union, if they want, Inter Miami are going to play that high line. And you know who plays best with a team playing a high line? Jack McGlynn. He has the best vision on this Union team. I would say he has the second best vision out of every single player on the pitch tonight. Obviously, Messi's going to be number 1. But Jack McGlynn, I think he does have the potential to have a huge game for the Union. Mikel Ua, as you were talking about, Kyle and Jillian, we saw them get off to a fast start against New York Red Bulls. And this Inter Miami team, they're going to be aggressive. And so if Jack McGlynn can get on the ball early, if Mikel can make those runs in behind, that's going to alleviate some of that pressure on the back line for the Union. Yes, we know, like I said, Miami's going to have possession of the ball for long periods of this game. That's why you got to stay compact. And so my player of the game to watch is Jack McGlynn. He's got to have a big game for the Union defensively and offensively tonight.
Yeah, and whether it's in an assist, the goal doesn't matter. I think you're absolutely right, Todd. He definitely has to have an impact. For me, I'm looking at the bench, and for those who haven't seen it, Semle, Olivier, Danley, Bueno, Bedoya, Raffanello, Sullivan, Kevin Sullivan, Donovan, and Sam. I'm concerned with the bench depth, and I'm also interested to see how does Jim Curtin use this lineup if there is a blowout early. If it's 3-0 early, 4-0 early because they just get overwhelmed, or in the 60th minute and the game's out of hand, do they look ahead to Wednesday and they try to preserve those legs and say, listen, let's get Ua out, let's get Bariba out, put Sam in, put Donovan in, whatever. I want to see Jim be responsible with this lineup as well. Same thing with Bedoya. You don't have to put him out there for 45 minutes in that Florida heat as well if you're going to use him on Wednesday night. Kyle and Jillian, Any thoughts on the bench? Any person in particular off the bench you want to see tonight maybe make an impact?
Yeah, no, you bring great points about, if the game isn't within reach, definitely rest some guys for Wednesday, and avoid injuries too. Honestly, I'd like to see Bueno get a chance off the bench. He really hasn't gotten much of a chance lately.
So I'm going to throw this out here. If they're down early, you're going to see Bizo.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it's 50-50.
Is Bizo going to get cooked?
Probably. But beyond that, like, you rest Stanley. And then you bring in Bueno. You bring in Adeniran, and you bring in Chris. And then you...
Donna's gotten, like, no playing time lately. I mean, at that point,
you bring in Kevin... I mean,
I know some people who really want to see it happen.
Well, what's the point of bringing in Kevin, though? Like,
the whole,
marketing,
he's in and messy. Yeah, marketing.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Besides that, I mean, yeah, okay. But, I mean, sure. I mean, if he scored a goal in this game late, even if they're losing 6-1, like, can you imagine how MLS would go up off of that? God. But yeah, no, I think if the Union go down, like, you got to bring in Bueno, and you got to be responsible because again, there is a bigger plan at play. You got NYCFC, and then you got the 2 home games that you have to win.
Yes.
So yeah,
this game feels kind of Pachuca-like, doesn't it? Like it could be a 6-0 just beat down. One thing I'm concerned about, again, we're talking about health, is Kai Wagner. If this match gets out of hand, get him off the field because he has played. Has he played almost every minute so far?
Every game this season.
Every game this season. I now the problem though with this is the fact that you only have Olivier as a sub. You don't have a center back sub. So do you, I guess, go to 3 in the back and then bring Kai out? Do you put Nathan on the left and put Olivier on the right? I don't know. I mean, Todd, any thoughts on whether Kai plays his whole 90 minutes tonight?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there's 2 players that the Union fans need to pay attention to tonight is Jack Elliott and Kai Wagner. They're 1 yellow card away from being suspended for the game on Wednesday night against New York City. And so, man, we all know how big of a blow it was losing Damian Lowe. What that meant for this roster. Jim Curtin said multiple times that Nate Harriel's the third center back on this roster. Well, what if you lose Kai Wagner to suspension? Nate Harriel's also your backup left back, and what are you going to do if you lose both Jack Elliott and Kai Wagner? That is really, really bad. And yeah, if we want to look ahead past this game tonight, I know you still have a game to play tonight. The game hasn't kicked off yet. The game's still tied 0-0. But that game on Wednesday is huge for the Union. They're chasing New York City, who are 9 points ahead of them in the table. You know, if the Union can get 3 points Wednesday night, that's going to help solidify them really, really well for a playoff spot. Jim Curtin said they need 4 more wins, and that would pretty much guarantee that they make the playoffs. So you got to win your last 3 games, and then out of Orlando City and New York City, get a win at one of those 2 places. If you get a win both, great. The Union are a great road team, but if Jack Elliott or Kai Wagner get a yellow card tonight, that's the worst case scenario for the Union. Yes, no matter what the scoreline is, yes, it's going to suck if the Union do potentially get blown out. But if you lose Kai Wagner and Jack Elliott for the game against New York City on Wednesday, man, things are going to get very, very interesting for this team.
In a winnable game against New York City as well. You can definitely go out there and pull out 3 points, at least get a point. And Derek,
have been good away at New York City the last couple games.
Yeah, I'm more confident there than I used to be years ago. Go ahead, Jill. You want to say something?
Oh, yeah. We were at the last 2 away games at New York City. We won't be able to go with it being a weeknight the way it is. But, yeah, definitely I think it's very winnable. And one thing of note, too, is Macania is not even on the bench tonight. Like, that shows you a lot. Like, when you don't have much there. I imagine he'll play tomorrow with Union, too. But, like...
But I'll bring up Derek's point real quick, and I'll mention Macania. So he talked about Flock is calm with Messi and Suarez interchanging. We have to be super aggressive. But to that point, they're probably going to get a yellow card because they have to be aggressive because you're playing against Messi and this amazing lineup they have. But Macania not – okay, here's my issue. We've seen Macania on this bench throughout most of the season. And now when you really need him, he's not there. That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why was he good enough to make the bench in April and March and May, but he's not good enough to make it now? Has he regressed that much? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at least. Kyle, Jillian, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I was actually really surprised considering Union 2 are playing in Miami tomorrow. Like they're playing Inter Miami too. So it's not like it's a crazy travel issue or something.
I just think it's what Jim and the first team staff think of McConaughey.
They just,
I for whatever reason, they just do not have confidence in him right now.
Yeah, honestly, which, it's a
shame.
It is what it is. We've seen him play plenty with Union 2, and I mean, yeah, he does okay there, but that's a much different level.
Well, as Jose was mentioned on Twitter today, the MLS Next Pro is like more like US1, USL1 like type of level. It's just not at the same pedigree of MLS. Todd, any thoughts on McConaughey's absence and anything we mentioned so far about him?
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much to add. They're gonna want to get him consistent playing time with Union too, and so I think it's the coaching staff thinking about potentially Wednesday night. If you lose a Jack Elliott, if you lose a Kai Wagner, things become interesting, and so it's better to play McConaughey for 90 minutes against Union 2 to keep him match fit, as opposed to sitting on the bench tonight and potentially not playing at all, because like you said, Mike, he's been on the bench for a lot of games this season. He's not come off once. So yeah, it makes sense for me in that perspective that Jim Curtin and the staff are just looking to keep him match fit in case things go bad tonight.
Absolutely. So Derek mentions, I hope this game is like our game with the Sounders a few years back, where they outplayed us and we scored 2 quick goals. I'm cheering for the post and crossbar big time. We needed the Red Bull magic with the crossbar again down in Miami. Kyle, he looks like you're about to say something there.
Yeah, you can only count on the man of the match being the crossbar a few times. At the end of the day, like, Miami's going to make their best chances. Like, we know goals are going to come tonight. Now, can the Union counter and, keep that aggression on the road that they have all season? Because it's really going to be what it needs to be tonight. Like, you're going to get punched in the mouth. How do the Union respond? Heck, if they're down 3-0 and a half and they come out and score 2 goals like we've seen all year, that I'll take that. Now, it's still disappointing, but
you want to see that resiliency,
yes,
not like
yes.
not that
I
just get deflated with a goal against it. Not get deflated.
I want to see the fight.
Yeah,
let's go for it.
And the things that we're all talking as fans, media, about Wednesday, they cannot be talking about Wednesday. They have to focus on them, because the reality is they're probably losing tonight, sure, but if you're going to lose, you cannot have another Pachuca match. You just simply cannot. If it's going to be a 6 on Miami, it has to be like 6-4 or something along those lines, or at least it's competitive. Todd, any predictions for the score tonight? Any thoughts on that? If anything else, a dog might run on the field. Any CONCACAF action tonight?
I think since this is Messi's first game back, we might see a pitch evader. But I'm still going to go with a 3-1 win for Inter Miami. I think that's just a really, really talented team. They've been in great form here. Like I said, the last 13 games without Messi, 10-3-0. In MLS play, they're 8-1-0, I believe. 1 loss against Cincinnati, where they lost at TQL Stadium 6-1. So, I mean, as much as it hurts saying that the Union are going to lose, we got to be realistic. When you don't have Andre Blake, he's been the best player for the Union this season, which I know is crazy because he's missed 51% of the games this year for the Union. But you go ahead and look when he has played, how different the results have been this season. So, I don't see a Union win tonight, but I would love to be proven wrong.
Absolutely.
Hey, we all remember Portland. We all remember Portland.
Yeah.
Different
Portland team. It's not a great coach there.
I know. Todd, I know.
I mean, but we were all like, Union are going to lose this one. Yeah. But also, I think I was like cautiously optimistic about the one. I think I predicted we were going to win that one.
And I fell asleep on the couch.
And you fell asleep on the couch. Kyle, can you fall asleep on the couch again tonight? Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, I think it's probably a loss. But prove us wrong, Union, please.
I think a few things. If you're trying to be optimistic here, and Derek mentions, fang those Herons, you have to hope that Miami looks ahead at their next match and they're just sleeping. It's a trap game for them, which is probably what they're saying. It's a trap game. Can't lose to the Union. They don't have Martinez anymore. That's probably what they're saying on that side. Excuse me. But there is still the magic that is Ty Baribo. I mean, he still is in an amazing form. Michael Ua is clearly in great form. If they are in a close match and it's let's say hypothetically 1-1, 2-2. I would like to see both of them play the full 90 if they can. If you can try to sneak out one, go for it. Absolutely try to go for it. If it's too far out, obviously give them a break. But with those two playing at that level, I mean, they're shooting from 20, 25 yards out with confidence and scoring at the same rate. Besides that, I think to Derek's point, I think Leon Flock has to be massive tonight. He does. He can't. Is he going to be like Jose Martinez, and is he going to be trickling balls across the midfield? No, but he just has to be responsible with the ball, find his outlets, and just don't be overly aggressive. Where the back line has to then really come out and save Rick's ass on a consistent basis. But I'm probably going to go 4-1 Miami. I hate to say it too. Todd, I think you're being generous with 3-1. I really do, but I think 4-1, and I think it's going to happen early. The first 15 minutes, I'm sure Miami's going to come, hit us hard, and it's just going to be a difficult one for sure. Any last thoughts, Colin Jillian?
Yeah, I was kind of predicting like a 4-2 loss. Honestly,
that's what I was feeling. When I woke up this morning, I said it's going to be Pachuca 2.0.
Oh God, please no.
I hate to say
no, hopefully not that bad.
And if it's the case, I mean, what do you think the fans' reaction is to that?
I think.
Well, we know there's going to be fans like, "Oh, the season's over." Sell the team. The season's over. Shut it down. Blah blah blah.
No.
But honestly, again, for everyone out there, it's like this is one that it's not the season's over, even if they lose 7 this one.
Games.
As long as they win the home ones and.
So let's say they get blown out 6-0. Now you still have the goal differential, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like let's say everybody else does us a favor, and everything at the end of the day is still.
Yeah, could use some help from some other
and we get some help.
Teams
I mean,
in there.
We're still in the picture.
Yeah.
Well, also the other thing too, Miami plays Atlanta next, I believe, right?
Yep.
And Atlanta's they're the team right above us. So if the absolute best case scenario that happens tonight, we somehow squeak out a win or tie rather.
You're right.
And then Miami goes out and takes care of business against Atlanta. However, the one thing is that Messi might not play on Wednesday on that turf. But as Todd, you mentioned already twice, it doesn't really matter. Miami's a well-oiled machine, and they're going to handle business there. Any last thoughts, Todd, before we sign off? The match is going to start in about a couple minutes.
Nope, I'm pretty good.
Okay, great. So thank you everybody for a pregame show for people who watch. Todd Lewis from the Free Kick Pod, Colin Jillian Albany from the One Team We Agree On. I'm Mike Brera, Jose, and Dave will be joining us soon. Everybody enjoy the match and follow these two platforms for all the Union coverage tonight. Doop.